Cool.
All right, guys, welcome. I'm Bob Clark. I'm here today with someone who I've known for a long time. I kind of knew you, Kate, before you hit the big time, if you will.
Yeah, true.
And just you and your husband, Andrew, I've really come to respect as people who make it happen, but do it with integrity and do it with focus and do it with a servant mindset, which I love. So I'm here with the one and only Kate McShea. How are you, Kate?
Oh, I'm doing great, Bob. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and thanks for jumping on. I wanted to ask you to jump on here for a few minutes because I know that my audience particularly will really benefit from some of the questions I'm going to ask you. So
Sure.
if you don't mind, I'll jump right into it because we're all about time leverage here, right?
Exactly. Totally. Yeah, let's fire away.
All right. So there's a lot of people out there struggling. So tell me a little bit. I mean, I know your story. For people who don't know your story, tell me a little bit about your struggles, but more importantly, how you broke through from those struggles into where you are now.
Yeah, sure. So for anybody that doesn't know me, when I got into the home-based business space, I was actually at that time still a second grade teacher. I was working full-time. And what I realized, and this was something that was really important for me, and I know for so many of you that follow Bob, you follow Bob for a reason because he's able to help you with time leverage and you can work your business part-time and then do the fun things that you love. So for me, when I started out, I was actually a full-time teacher, and for some reason there was this thought in my mind that I had to hustle and grind all the time, because as a teacher, it's not a 9 to 3 job like everyone thinks it is. It's a 7 a.m. to, a lot of times for me, 7 p.m. job. And I was constantly always working and running, and then to try and build a home business on the side was really, really difficult. So what I always thought, and this was the reason I struggled for a really long time, for 12 months actually, of focusing in hardcore on my business, is that I always thought that I had to hustle and grind. That when it was time to focus on my business, that I had to, like, every single day, grind, talk to as many people as I possibly could in the time frame that I had, which wasn't a lot. And so what I realized, there were 2 things that I was struggling with, because I had just literally moved across the country and was relocating and starting up in a new place. So there were 2 things that I realized that were big struggles for me. Was number 1, having enough people to talk to, and number 2, having enough time to actually talk to the amount of people I needed to talk to in my part-time business. So my breakthrough happened when I hit a wall. I was basically at the point where I had just left my teaching job, and I was trying to figure out, okay, now how do I work this full time? And I was at the point where I was just going to go back and get another teaching job, because that's how I knew I knew how to teach. I knew how to work full time, and I couldn't figure out how to build the business part time to even get it to be profitable. So I was at that point where it was like, well, I might as well just throw in the towel, and I might as well just go back to my full-time career. And then what I realized is that I actually found a method that allowed me, in the 2 hours a day that I have, and I know some of you guys only have like 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day, I actually found a method where I could leverage my time and I could use the internet. And think of it like this: instead of, and I call it the P2P method, instead of going person to person and individually connecting with people, I found a way where I could get a mass amount of people in front of me at one time without like having to do offline stuff like hosting home parties or sending people to hotel meetings. That stuff works for a reason. So we transitioned that whole concept online, got a mass amount of people in front of our offers at one time in a 60-minute block, right? And then closed more sales. That was the breakthrough for me, is that I realized I didn't have to hustle and grind as hard as I thought I had to. I just had to be better about leveraging my time.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, yeah, for me also, I mean, as soon as you get technology involved where you can, like you said, instead of going person to person, which is really exceedingly difficult when you have 1 or 2 hours a day to build your business.
Right.
As soon as you start leveraging technology, everything changes. It just does.
Totally.
And but you have to do it the right way. So you obviously found the right way, which we're going to dig into in a couple minutes.
Sure.
So most of my audience, this is kind of a segue into this question as well. Most of my audience maybe has 2 hours, an hour, maybe 30 minutes a day to
Yep.
work on their business. So what would be your advice on, okay, you got 30 minutes, you got 60 minutes, you sit down at your computer, what do you do?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest thing, and this was a shift that I helped make for my students, was so I always shared with them, like, instead of just consistently every single day, like, watching a training or, learning a new strategy or trying to implement a new strategy, think a little bit differently. So think of, when is there one big chunk of time, even if it's 60 minutes, where I can get as many people as possible into one space where I can close as many sales as possible, right? And then for the whole rest of the week is on profit producing activities. So it's engaging with people, it's connecting with more people, it's inviting more people to this, like, you can call it an online event, you can call it a webinar, you can call it a masterclass, whatever you want to call it, right? But you get them to this one space at one time. And so then all the other 30 minutes or 60 minutes are spent reaching out and connecting with other people. Now, there's 3 ways you can reach out and connect with other people online. Because one thing that I learned was that when I moved to a new place in Oregon and I knew no one, I had 2 options. I could connect with people outside, or I could connect with people on the internet that were all over the place, right? So I could build globally and sell my products globally. And so there was 3 ways I did it. I personally private messaged people, and I networked with people, and I built my network. I also recently, and my students have been doing this, has been doing a ton of Facebook Lives, inviting people to our events, all right, to get people that are outside of our area to come and show up. Works really, really well. And then the third is setting up advertisements. If you want to do paid advertising, it's a great way to get a connection with people that you don't necessarily know yet. But it's all about inviting, networking, and building this engaging presence to get people to one space at one time during the week, rather than thinking about, like, every single day you need to share your opportunity, you need to share your products, you need to, hop on the phone with people. Utilize your time, leverage your time, get people to one space, and then do the presentation once, and then you get to follow up with people afterwards.
That's so awesome that you talk about that, because I've shifted my students to thinking from a daily method of operation to a weekly method of operation.
Yeah.
Which you've got all in the same lines. You have your one big goal for the week,
Yep.
and you funnel everything into that. It's almost identical. So that's very cool that we're on the
Nice.
same wavelength for that. That's
Good.
so let me dive deeper into the 60 minutes that we're talking about, where you get, where you're getting people into it. You've been putting out a lot of information. I've been watching it, very intriguing me, because if it goes into this whole thing of time leverage, which I'm very high on. You call it the 60-minute enrollment method.
Yeah.
So, all your videos have kind of been very cool leading into this. So tell me a little bit more about that. You've kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah, sure. So the reason, so it's a video series, and it's a free 3-part video series. And what it's all about is that what I started to realize when I started up this method that I like to call the 60-minute enrollment method, which basically is how you can get a rapid spike in leads or prospects, closing more sales, and getting more people to enroll in your programs in just 60 minutes time each week. And what I learned was that I was sharing this information with some of my coaching clients, with some of my students, with students that enrolled in some of my other products and training programs that I have. But I wanted a way to be able to get it out to the masses, because I knew that, what it did for us is literally, with being a previous second grade teacher with no marketing or business background, with this strategy, we were able to build from 0 to 6-figure business in less than 12 months. So I knew it worked. My students have been able to produce results with it. And I wanted to find a way where I could create simple videos that would walk people through the process to understand what they needed to do in order to leverage their time. And so the reason I called it the 60-minute enrollment method is because so consistency, yes, can be key, right? It's important to know what kind of activities you need to do in order to get your end result. However, I always think about what happens when you're in a bind, or what happens when you don't have enough time to focus every single day on your business. Like you were telling your students, Bob, have a weekly goal, right?
Mhm.
But what I've learned from a lot of my students is they're like, oh my gosh, I just got a hospital bill that I didn't realize I was going to have to pay as quickly, or shoot, like I'm behind on my credit card bills, like all these things that start to come up and then pile up. Well, those daily consistent actions will build a long-term business. But what happens when you need to make that rapid spike? Or, your company puts out a cruise, right? You get a chance to win a cruise. What do you do to actually get as many sales and enrollments as you possibly can to win it? So this was a method that we've utilized that's been highly successful for us, highly successful for our students. And I just felt like it was time to get the word out to other people, because I know that it can benefit so many more people.
Now, I can hear in my ears, I can hear people looking at this, watching this interview, and they're saying, well, sure, it works for Kate, it works for Bob. They have big lists, they have big followings, they have all this experience. So what about this? Does it work for people who have like no list, no following?
Yeah, great question. And I'm so happy you brought it up, because that was one of the biggest things. And a reason that I was almost hesitant to share it with other people, because I knew that that was going to be one big thing that a lot of people would say. The cool part is what most people don't know is our first $594 we ever made in our business was from this method. And we didn't have a list of prospects. We didn't have a team. We didn't have a big, huge, massive following or anything like that. We literally did 2 of the steps. And we actually did a ton of stuff wrong, and we were still able to make a profit. And I can also share with you one of our students, Ryan, utilized this strategy, was struggling in his network marketing business for like 6 months, working 70 hours a week, had absolutely no time to leverage, or no time at all to focus in on his business and spend time with his family. So on his first try, without having a list, again, without having prospects, he had already gone through his warm market and he wanted to come online. He got 15 people onto his online event, and he ended up enrolling 6 new teammates that night into his program. And then what they did, which is cool, is they repeated the process. And now his team uses this process every single week, and they will enroll up to 10 people a week into his team. So I've done it without having a list of prospects. Ryan's done it. We've got Carrie's done it. We've got a ton of other students that have done it as well too. And it's really just about repeating the process and getting yourself into action. Because the biggest thing is when you kind of sit back and you go, well, I can't do it yet because I don't have results yet. Believe me, even if you have a strategy to help people produce results in their business or maybe get their first lead, you have a result that somebody else wants to know about. So you have the ability to share that knowledge and then give them a way for them to continue to want to work with you.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, you're always ahead of somebody.
Exactly.
No matter where you are, you're
Yeah.
always ahead of somebody. Even if you just started, you made the decision. That's a step above somebody else.
Yes.
So
Totally.
yeah, totally get it. So that's cool, because now you have people, anybody can do this, and you can duplicate it with your teammates, and that's huge. So when you do get, you do it, you get team members. Now you can teach them, and they can do the same thing. And then you got people, you increase your retention.
Exactly.
And just the whole thing builds. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
So thank you for releasing a little bit of information. I know I don't want to say too much because you have a big shebang coming up, I believe, on Tuesday, right?
Yes, I do. Yep. There's a video 4 is open on Tuesday. I know if you go, Bob will tell you what you need to do, but you can go check out the first 3 videos. And then video 4 goes live on Tuesday, which is going to be really, really great. So make sure you stay tuned in to what Bob can give you all the details and the information. But I know that especially if you're in that space where you're thinking, I've only got 2.5 months left in 2016, I'll just put my business on hold and I'll start back up in 2017, because I did that for years. And what I learned is that with this method, you can actually make this year still your best year yet in just 2.5 months by applying this method. So definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, and guys, I've used this method. At least I think I've used your method. I don't know exactly what it is, but I've used a method I believe is similar, and it does that. It jumpstarts your business, and it's not like you have to wait 3 months down the line to see the rewards of what you're doing now, which is the case for many of the methods out there. So
Yeah.
that's very awesome as well, guys. If you want to get more of this, which I know you do after hearing this, just go to bobandrosemary.com/Kate. Give you your own link, Kate, just for you.
Nice.
And you'll be able to jump on. And you have 2 times, I believe, for your webinar on Tuesday, right? You have 3 o'clock.
Yep. Yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yep.
Awesome. That's perfect, because then anybody in the world can catch that. So that's
exactly.
Awesome. So thanks for doing that. And say, I appreciate you so much for jumping on. I know people got a lot of value out of this today, and I can't wait for them to jump on Tuesday. I'm jumping on.
Nice.
I want to see exactly what you're doing. So thank you so much, Kate. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. Thanks so much for having me and for allowing me to just share a little sneak peek into the wisdom that I have to share with your people.
Well, you're awesome. You're one of my favorites. So thanks for all you do for everybody. And we'll be seeing you at the next event.
Sounds good. All right. Take care,
Awesome.
everybody.
Bye-bye.